If you love the salt air, sand, and sea, you're going to love this episode. Hello everyone, it's Jenny from WeNeedaVacation.com. Welcome to EsCape TV, where each episode we get you back to the Cape and Islands. We're here in Truro, one of the outermost towns on Cape Cod, and the drive's a little long, but it sure is worth it when you end up at Highland Light.
If you had to describe Truro in just one word, it would probably be stunning. Rolling hills and sandy dunes blanket the coast of the town, making for simply breathtaking scenery. It's so remarkable that over half of Truro's land area is part of the Cape Cod National Seashore. Like just about every part of the Cape, Truro's coast is ever evolving. Each winter allows the dunes to shift and change their layouts. However, there has been one constant since 1797. That's Highland Light. Standing 66 feet tall, the lighthouse is the Cape's tallest and oldest. In fact, the original tower was actually commissioned by George Washington.
This is the only lighthouse you can climb on a daily basis from April to October. They like the history of the lighthouse. People are amazed whether they live on the coast or they live in the Midwest. They've never seen a lighthouse and they all want to climb it and they want to take in the views and the history of it.
Right next to the lighthouse is Cape Cod's oldest golf course and perhaps its most scenic. The Highland Links golf course in North Truro is considered by many one of America's golf treasures. Perched high along windswept bluffs overlooking the Atlantic, the course offers unmatched panoramic views.
We're surrounded by the Highland Links, which is a golf course that was put in 1892. It was put in by the Small family. The Small family saw that a lot of people came out here to see the lighthouse, so they built the Highland House, which is now a museum, but it used to be a hotel that housed 100 guests, and people would spend their week's vacation here, taking the train from Boston to Provincetown.
For Paula, you can imagine having a lighthouse as an office is downright awesome, especially since she didn't necessarily grow up here. She actually started as a vacationer.
From the time I was 3 months old to the time I was 16, my parents rented the first house next to the lighthouse. So when I saw an ad to be a tour guide, it was like, I'm here. It's like, how could you not want to work in a lighthouse? My staff loves working in the lighthouse. They come to work with smiles on their faces because they don't know what they're going to find day in and day out.
With everything needed for a memorable vacation, Truro is definitely your place to stay, play, and enjoy. And who knows, if you stay long enough, you just might find an incredible job while you're there.
Families have been coming to Cape Cod for summer vacation for generations. There's plenty of that history to be seen at the Corn Hill Cottages.
Summering on Cape Cod has been a family tradition for years, and there's some interesting history when it comes to vacationing in the magnificent town of Truro. Almost 400 years ago, before settling in Plymouth, the Pilgrims arrived in Provincetown Harbor and stayed briefly before sailing south and sending a party out to explore an area in what is now Truro and known as Corn Hill. The area earned its name because the Pilgrims found a cache of corn that had been buried there by the natives. They helped themselves to the stash and planted the corn once they settled in Plymouth. A plaque at the base of Corn Hill commemorates the event. The present-day Corn Hill Cottages were built over 100 years ago as a seaside resort by a group of Victorian-age Bostonians. There is little wonder as to why the city folk chose this particular spot.
It was all owned by one owner until 1980, and it was sold by the people who owned it, who were the LaFrances, and they made it into a condominium, and now everything's individually owned. But there's all this history, of people who have been coming. There are people who have been coming here for 40, 50 years, and that sort of thing.
Not only does it have an interesting, meaningful history, but the location is heavenly. Perched on cliffs 75 feet above Cape Cod Bay, the views from this colony of cottages is breathtaking. The sweeping views of the bay and all the Cape Cod towns from neighboring Provincetown to Plymouth can be seen from this amazing vantage point.
As many times, as many sunsets as I've seen up here, I would never miss one. I have to run out and look at the sunset. It's like an event. That and low tide, I would say, are the two highlights of every day.
And stepping inside the cottage is like stepping back in time. Exposed wood, single pane glass windows with gently blowing sea breezes, and uneven floorboards that creak underfoot. All of it, sun, sand, sea, and the sensation of many years past, is quintessential old Cape Cod.
Touring the town of Truro might leave you a little thirsty, and there's no better place to quench that thirst than the Truro Vineyards.
Truro has forever been known for its rugged beauty with miles of unspoiled beaches and dramatic sand dunes. But since 2007, something a little sweeter has been the talk of the town. Located just next to the national seashore, Truro Vineyards came on the scene in 2007 and has been making its mark amongst vacationers as well as wine enthusiasts across the globe. After 40 years in the fine wine and spirits industry, vineyard owner Dave Roberts retired in 2006 and began to pursue his dream of winemaking, enlisting his family's commitment and support. And they certainly are hands-on owners. They run wine tastings, work in the gift shop, assist in the fields, and contribute to the winemaking process. While you're there, enjoy a wine tasting under the pavilion and take a free guided tour of the vineyard and winery, including the state-of-the-art barrel room. Learn about the art of maritime grape growing and its yield of intense flavor. Or just take it easy and grab a glass.
Cape Cod has some of the most beautiful beaches in America, and Truro has some of the most beautiful beaches on Cape Cod.
If you're fond of sand dunes and salty air, then you will definitely find several slices of heaven when you visit the beaches in Truro. Idyllic sandy pathways lined with dunes and beach roses lead you to the bayside beaches of Riders and Corn Hill Beach. Enjoy the calm waters and salty bayside breezes with views that span all of Cape Cod, from Provincetown to Sandwich, with almost every town in between. On the ocean side, enjoy miles and miles of amazing sandy beach protected by the Cape Cod National Seashore. Family-friendly Head of the Meadow Beach has become very popular in past years with its naturally created pool at low tide. It's the perfect spot for children to splash, play, and build sandcastles. And the daily stresses of life are sure to melt away once you take one glance at the sweeping vistas of the Atlantic from gorgeous Ballston or Longnook Beach. These oceanside beaches offer breathtaking views, clean sandy beaches, and exciting surf that all are sure to enjoy. Salt air, sand, and sea. What more could you ask for when visiting the outer Cape town of Truro?
Well, that's all for this episode. We'll see you next time.